Hey everybody, it's Ozone. We're back here in the Vault Hunters testing house, which means only one thing. That's right, it's time for another update, Roundup. And before we go too much further, let me apologize if my voice is sounding a little raspy or my energy is a little low. I've just been fighting something off recently. I'm a little low energy, but I'm not letting that stop me from getting you guys an update Roundup as fast as I can. It has been just under 3 months since the last update Roundup. Can you believe it? 3 months. I thought we were on a really good roll with shorter, more frequent updates, and then this happens. Now, don't get me wrong, this update is massive and contains so many wonderful things, but personally, I like the more frequent, smaller update schedule that it seemed like we were starting to take. Anyway, let's jump right on into what we've got in this version, Update 19. It seems like I say this every single time. This update has some of the biggest and best features yet. But every time it's outdone by the very next update. This one definitely takes the cake. We got companions. We've got end-game content, prestige levels, all that kind of stuff. There's new vault types, new abilities, new expertises, as well as the usual plethora of bug fixes and tweaks. I really feel like this development cycle for version 3 of Vault Hunters is winding down as we're getting closer and closer, a full year after it was projected to be so last summer. Remember when update 16 or 15 or update 13, I think actually, was supposed to be the final update? Yeah, I knew that wasn't real when we heard it, but it's nice to see that we're actually getting some endgame content and that we seem to be getting close to the end of development. I mean, look at me. I'm getting all excited because we just got some endgame content again. It's been like 6 months since the Herald fight. But regardless, Vault Hunter being on version 1.18 is starting to feel a little old hat. It feels like it needs a refresh from the ground up. And I know Iskal believes this too. So I am looking forward to finally hearing that this is the final patch someday and that Vault Hunters Update 3 is going to be done so that we can start on the next version because it's going to be even better. But that's definitely putting the cart before the horse. Let's get into some of these features like I've been talking about. And the one that I think people are most excited about are companions. I really believe that ever since we saw the Vault Hunters server start up last summer and people they'll have those companions help them in the vault, I think that's something that every casual player has wanted. Plus, anybody that's played for a long time knows about Eternals and the help that they can give you as well. And Eternals has been something that's been in the works for a long time. Having pets solves both of these problems, and I think it's done really, really well. Now, companions are meant to be found in the vault, under certain circumstances, but like a lot of things in Vault Hunters, your first one is given to you free through a quest. At level 50, you get this Companions quest, and it tells you all about what you need to do to get your companion, and when you do build the first item, the incubator, well, then you get your companion egg. Companion eggs come in one of 2 flavors. If you get one that looks like this, like a little Steve egg, that means the series is Legend, and that means that you're going to get a Steve type of figure with a Patreon skin. But when you complete the companion quest, this egg looks different, and it says the series is Pet. Let's hope I actually get a pet. Yay! So this one looks very different. There are several kinds of pets available, as shown by this picture on the Discord, and boy, they all look super duper cute. The companion egg gives you one random companion once it's hatched in the incubator. And the incubator looks like the old Eternal thing. I think they reused the same model, actually. The recipe for the incubator is, well, pretty difficult. Ecopog. The rest of it isn't really important, but the Ecopog is, of course, a very difficult thing to craft. I mean, it is a level 50 thing that a lot of people probably can do or should be able to do relatively soon, but an Ecopog is always something that's very difficult to craft and something that I always think twice about using. So we set the incubator down and throw the egg inside, and it says the hatch time is only 20 seconds. I can't wait to see what kind of pet I get. While you're waiting for your companion to hatch, which honestly doesn't really take that long, you also need to make one of these companion homes for them to sit on. The recipe here is pretty straightforward, only requiring 2 unique gems. Additionally, this could be colored in much the same way that leather is colored. So we put a few different dyes in here, and it evens out the colors and comes up with a hex code. So you can literally get just any color you want. Pop that down, and I think our companion should be done. Now, the incubator itself doesn't have any kind of presentation change to let you know that the incubation is done. Fortunately, it doesn't take that long. And so with the pet in my inventory or companion, we can pop it right there. And there it goes, looking all cute. Companions obviously work in the same way. You just put them in the incubator as well. And once your companion is done, they'll operate just the same as a pet does. Really, the only difference between a companion and a pet is the styling, right? The companion's going to have the skin of somebody that's a Patreon supporter, and a pet is going to have one of the cuter skins, probably. I mean, I say probably. I don't know what all the Patreon skins look like. But yeah, this guy's definitely cuter in my mind. Your companions can also come in a variety of sizes. Surprisingly, this one seems to be a normal-sized business scowl, and this one seems to be an itty-bitty Kisaba? Not really sure if that's pronounced properly, but I find it funny that you can get different sizes, and what size you get is pretty much random. Not much matters with the size, it's purely an aesthetic thing, just like your pet having a different aesthetic than the companions, but I rather think that I like the smaller guy better. I feel like the big ones, the full size or even bigger companions, would be distracting. I would see them out of the corner of my eye and feel like they were a mob trying to attack me. The little guy, however, I feel like that would be rather obvious that it's not a mob trying to attack me and be more out of the way. But I haven't played with them yet, so maybe I'll have a different opinion afterward. What's more important than the looks of the companion is their stats. Every companion comes with what they call a temporal modifier, an ability that you can trigger for the duration that it says. This one, Ultimate Regeneration, looks amazing. +3 regeneration, plus 500% mana. That has got to be legendary. We look at this guy, we've got Hunterino. Mobs have a chance to cast Hunter on death. Not bad at all, honestly. I do rather like the Hunter skill, don't you, Viscal? And this one has Soul Fest. 1000% more soul shards. So yeah, just straight up a buff every time you take your companion into the vault. Your temporal modifiers are not always active. There is a keybind that you have to press in order to activate them. And the duration is only 1 minute per level of the companion. But the more you run with the companion, the more experience it gains, and the more levels it gains as well. Companions do start out with only 1 heart. And if you die in the vault, they lose a heart. And if they get to 0 heart, well, they become retired. So a low-level companion could be lost very easily if you aren't careful in the vaults. Additionally, companions can be buffed and grow over time. There are relics that can be added to the companions, as well as particle slots, which is purely aesthetic, but they can be added as well. Additionally, companions have a random rest time that they need to complete after every vault. And obviously this is to keep you from running the same companions over and over in the vaults. Now if your companion does lose a heart, you can make one of these companion snacks and feed it to it in order to restore that heart. The companion snacks are pretty expensive, needing one of those companion relics as well as a bunch of echo gems. But if you've got a really good companion that you just absolutely love, well, then I guess it's going to be worth it, won't it? To pick up your companion, just shift right-click onto the home, and it will place them down into the world so they can start following you. Well, that's not exactly true. What it does is places the companion item into the head slot. This is where they need to be in order to be active when you take them into the vault. If you shift right-click the companion while they're on the ground, this has the effect of taking it off of the head slot and putting it back into your inventory. It's a little confusing what's going on under the covers there, or at least I was confused when I first started playing with it, but it does make sense. The nice thing about having your companion on your head slot is that it doesn't interfere with any armor, of course, but it does sort of replace being able to take a doll into the vault as well. Remember those things? I don't think many people really utilize those, but a doll and a companion can't go into the vault at the same time because they both have to sit in that head slot. Now, of course, you want one of these things, don't you? And the patch notes are just a little unclear about how to do so. Now, Iscal's video is a little more clear. It says that just by killing mobs, opening chests, and things like that, doing normal vault stuff, you have the chance of attracting a companion egg. When that does happen, you'll get a notification down at the bottom of the screen. It just says that somewhere in the vault that you've already explored is a companion egg. It's going to be hovering in the room like some of the reward things do, with sparkles all around it. But it's anywhere. It's anywhere that you've been already in the vault. So at that point, you got to decide, do you want that companion or do you need to keep going in the vault? And if you want that companion, turn around and go revisit the rooms that you've already visited. And look around because there's an egg somewhere in there. As far as I'm aware, that egg doesn't despawn. It's not like you have a limited time window to find it. But time is always of the essence in the vaults. Now that is what I think most people are going to be most excited about. There's so much more to this patch as well. If I'd have to pick what people are next most excited about, that's the in-game content. Prestige powers, baby. On your character screen here, we've got a brand new tab for prestige powers. And it tells you right on there that you've got to reach level 100 and defeat the Herald before you can even unlock it. And that takes no small doing for sure. But once you do, well, according to Iskall, those prestige powers really ratchet up the power level of your character. So with a little command line magic, boom, I'm now level 100 and have defeated the Herald. And now you can see that we have the prestige powers screen unlocked. So there are a total of 30 different prestige powers, and you can actually get them all. Notice we only have tier 1 powers unlocked. Tier 2 say that you have to have spent at least 1 point in the previous tier. So let's see what we've got. Victor's Edge, dealing 50% more to champions. Shielded gives you an absorption shield. Gravitic Reach, 50% extra pickup range and copiously on your magnet. Relentless Pursuit, bounties no longer have a cooldown. And Whispers of the Market gives you new special items. And extra rerolls. But of course, as you go up in tiers, the power gets higher and higher and higher. Look at this one. Grants the effect of the Elvish Air Trinket, removing any fall damage. That's not an activation skill. That's just permanently removing all fall damage. Wow. And that's only a tier 2 skill. Or this one, giving you permanently +1 regeneration. Wow. It is important to note that there is a knowledge cost as well. And that means knowledge points. And that's really good because previously you really didn't have a use for knowledge points past a certain level. And now there's definitely a reason to save those. And at the highest tier, look at that, it takes 600 knowledge points to do this prestige power. Pretty crazy, but I have to imagine that you're getting tons and tons of loot by the time you get to that kind of level. Now, once you do hit level 100, you do continue to gain experience. You just don't translate that into levels. Every time you gain what would previously be another level, that instead becomes a prestige point that you can spend on this page. And remember, level 100 is over 1 million experience points to complete that level. So, yeah, that's going to take a lot of vaulting and a lot of work. But the rewards are absolutely worth it. Now, one thing that was not discussed by Iskall or the patch notes was how you might remove prestige points. Maybe that'll come later, but also maybe not. Maybe you just don't ever need to. I don't know. Now, honestly, I expect this prestige powers to be tweaked quite a bit. You know, they've just been introduced. They're very, very powerful, and I know they're supposed to be that way. But I also get the feeling that they're not done adding prestige powers as well. So for a lot of people, prestige powers are way off in the future, and I know that's kind of how I think about it too. So while I'm really excited, and I know there's definitely more in-game content coming, I'm also cautiously optimistic. Cautious about the tweaks and stuff that are going to come later. Next up, it's time to talk about the 2 new vault objectives that are available. And they really are not just objectives changes, but they are complete playstyle changes. First up, we have a PvP Vault Rock. In this vault mode, you're not only allowed to damage other players, it's encouraged, as the last player left standing is the winner of the PvP vault. Or unless somebody actually completes the vault, which, let's face it, is probably not really going to happen. The PvP Vault Rock is pretty straightforward to make, requiring some kind of sword, like anybody's ever going to use a netherite sword. No, we're just going to use wooden or iron. And then, of course, you have to satisfy the altar, just like any other vault rock, in order to become a crystal. When you enter a PvP vault, at the top it says we're waiting for more players. Once a second player joins the vault, then a 2-minute timer starts, and anybody else that joins is allowed to participate. After that 2-minute timer is up, though, nobody else can join the vault, and the vault is locked. At that point, everybody gets teleported to a random place within the vault, and a vault objective is chosen. Everybody shares the same vault objective, and the winner is the person that completes the vault objective or is the last player standing. And it's a winner-take-all situation. Anybody that dies or doesn't complete the objective gets nothing at the end of the vault. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a second player that I can test this out with and show you guys, but I think you get the idea. The big question that I have, honestly, is if you die in a PvP vault, do you still have to buy back your ghost, or is that somehow given to you for free? Is it somehow gone into casual mode where you don't have to go through that process? The patch notes aren't clear, nor do I recall seeing Iskall say anything about it. So this is something I'm uncertain about. I'm sure the game mode is fun, and I have to imagine that they're not going to penalize you for dying in something that kind of forces you to die, but at the same time, I just don't have any confirmation that it's anything else. If you do happen to go on into the vault, what happens? Oh, interesting. If you do happen to go into the vault, well, the timer begins. You can interact with things. Mobs spawn, but you have no objective. Very interesting. To me, I think that's a little bit of a shortcoming. I expected the initial portal room to be locked and not being able to go into the vault itself. But no, clearly that's not the case. The other new game mode is called Battle Royale and uses the Royale rock. There is also a hybrid Royale PvP mode as well, but it's really just the two game modes mixed together. The Royale rock is more expensive, requiring 3 unique gems in order to craft this vault rock, and the PvP variation is nearly the same and just requiring some swords to go along with it. Now, the Royale mode is even more different and interesting than the PvP mode. In this one, you basically go in naked. Everything gets saved off, and if you die in the vault, you don't lose your gear. Instead, you have to gear up as you go and get a random set of skills. Well, let me show you real quick. The portal room here inside of Royale Vault is significantly different than we're used to. First off, we've got this nice sparkly crate. Go ahead and open this. This is your starting gear. It's not a lot of gear. Oh, we actually got a sword. That's not even guaranteed. We also got a nice helmet and some food. That's right, everything you need you have to find in the Royale Vault because you come in with nothing. You don't even get to have your blocks. Now what you do have is a Royale crate, and this holds everything that you collect here in the vault. So everything that you get out of your crates while you're looting, you can't really use it. You only get it if you complete the objective while in the Royale Vault. Now, the other big difference here is we've got this guy behind me. Iskall calls him Tommy. Iskall has weird names for everybody. But this guy gives you your starting skill sets, as well as choices for a couple starting pieces of gear. Just go ahead and right-click and you get to choose one of 3 default skill sets. The text tells you a little bit about how to use it and how many skill points are utilized in this skill set. The reason I suggest grabbing gear first is because you might get something on your gear that synergizes very well with one of these skill sets. So double checking, I've got not very good attack damage, nothing else. This helmet has some ability power and mana. Nothing that will make one choice better than the other, at least as far as my gear goes. And remember, this is just your starting gear. You're going to find more as you go. So select one of the 2 things. I've done this Blight build before. It comes with an awful lot of points in the Poison Nova, so I'll go with that. Next, we get to choose a blue trinket. Obviously, it's best to pick a blue trinket that it works with your skill set that you just selected here. In my case, I really don't think any of these work really well. I guess I'll get Step Up. Why not? And then we choose a red trinket. Cooldown reduction, extra health, and extra lux. Well, given that I've picked something that I'm going to be using a lot of skills, probably, cooldown reduction sounds good. All right, now we get to choose our reward. We get to choose, in this case, a treasure key. Nice. Some vault foods. Nice. And then there's the crown. The crown is something that you can add to future Royale Vault crystals. in order to try to make the rewards even better. So it doesn't do anything on its own. But remember, you still have to complete this vault in order to collect the rewards, and any vault that you use the crown on to collect those rewards. Now at this point, we're still really weak. I've gotten one piece of gear, a couple pieces of food, and also this ability scroll. This is how you spend your remaining skill points. Looking at my skill points, I've got 57 skill points left because this loadout used 43 skill points, but I can't use these skill points and level up any of these skills. For that, I have to find and use these scrolls. Just right click and that puts the point into it. Now I'm in creative, so it didn't actually consume the scroll, but when you're in survival, it will. And now I've got another point in Vein Miner as a result, and I've used one of my unspent skill points. But that is unfortunately all we can do in this room. Now it's time to head out into the vaults. The crate that we had here in the middle as our starting gear, there are more of these crates in each and every room. Some rooms have up to 6 of them, but you might be triggering mobs, and remember, you are still really, really weak. So initially, you want to avoid combat, right? You want to find some of these crates and continue to collect your gear. Remember, at this point, you don't even have blocks. You barely have any food. Oh, and 2 more things. First of all, the vault is locked, meaning you can't leave until you either die, time out, or complete the vault. And secondly, you don't heal. Yeah, well, that's a normal vault thing, but you don't have any healing skill, right? Because everybody is so used to having healing as a skill, but none of the default loadouts contain heal, and none of the scrolls are for healing either. There are 2 ways to heal in the vault. You can find hardy apples in crates like this, and those will heal a few points. And secondly, sometimes when you kill a mob, they will drop a little glowy heart, and when you pick it up, well, that one will heal you as well. Iskall said a couple of times that these are hard. They're meant to be hard. And honestly, I feel like they might even be too hard. I really like the idea of coming in with nothing and also not really risking anything as well. Because, like I said, if you die in this vault, you didn't bring anything in, so you don't lose any of your gear. But there are some challenges that are inherent in a vault like this. For instance, you've got your loadout here. One of the things that you might not have is, like, I don't have a keybind to Nova. You can actually do this through the abilities screen now. By hitting this button up here, the toggle quick keybind ability, I can keybind this to something else now. And you've got to do this on the fly. Whew, nice. Now I've got this ability bound to the R key. But let's say you pick up a scroll of something that wasn't in your initial loadout and you don't have any keys that are already bound to it. You've got to stop. You've got to go into that screen and make a keybind for it. Or say you pick up a piece of gear that adds a bunch of levels to a skill that you weren't really utilizing much, and you didn't even have bound. Now, again, you got to stop and change your keybinds. I feel like this is probably not a good thing, and it's going to interfere with the flow of the vault, and also lead to messy keybinds. Because there's just no way that you can have the keybinds all set up and have everything keybound before you ever even start. There's just way too many in a game like this. So that's one of my main concerns. Well, let's run on into the vault and see what else we can collect. Right off the bat, there's another crate. And another skill. Ah, some hardy apples. Yeah, these are the healing ones that I was telling you about. Definitely want those. A chest breaker. Well, we didn't have that, so we definitely need that as well. And probably some better boots. Ooh, looks like there's another one right over here. Ooh, but it's in the middle of a POI. Do I feel strong enough to go in and tackle those mobs yet? Probably not. And so this is the game that you have to play, especially at first. Collect what you can collect. Avoid damage as much as possible because, again, you don't have a healing skill. And try to get to a point where you're actually capable of starting to work on the objective for this vault. Ooh, this one has 3 chests. Nice. And so now we're starting to get somewhere. I've got some food, I've got chest breaker stuff, and I've got a few more skills. But just because you find one of the scrolls doesn't mean that you should use it. Especially given the loadout that I selected took 43 skills, and you have to be level 50 at least in order to start the vault like this. You might be in a position where you've only got just a few skill points left to spend. So you want to be more careful about choosing to utilize the scrolls and getting those skill points assigned out, because you can't revert them either. So I think that's the gist of it anyway. It's a very interesting vault mode, and I think that we might see more things like this in the future. So let's continue on with that update. Next up, we have several new abilities and talents. Now, of course, we also have this updated abilities screen, which is scrollable, zoomable, and as I demonstrated before, allows you to toggle and set keybinds right in this screen, which is very handy. The abilities have been broken up into these 4 different abilities. And I like that they put Storm Arrow, one of my favorite abilities, down here in Ultimate, because it really is a very powerful ability. But we've got utilities like Vein Miner, Heal, things like that. Offensive, obviously things that do damage, and Power Up, things that make you more powerful or help you in some way. So I like this organization, and the ability to zoom and scroll around has been sorely needed for a long time. One thing that has changed is that the Farmer ability has been changed to a talent. Farmer always did feel kind of weird, and I think it makes a lot more sense now as a talent. As you add levels to it, it increases the growth speed and the radius at which it works, instead of previously where it would work on one crop versus another, and then finally animals at the end. Now, Farmer works on everything all the time, and it's really just a matter of speed and scale. While I certainly feel that one level is useful, I really don't see that there's a significant improvement with putting 4 levels into it. But back on the ability page, we do have several new abilities, mostly centered here in the offensive category. Arcane, with its specialization of Rail, Earthquake, and its specialization of Landmine, Lightning Strike, Ball Lightnings, Chaos Cube, and Toxic Vial. I don't really feel like I do a very good job of showing off the new abilities, but I do want to talk about them real quickly. Basically, Arcane fires a whole bunch of little rays, where Rail fires one giant ray and does a lot more damage, but to a lot fewer things. Earthquake and Landmine both go on the ground and blow up underneath mobs. The difference is Landmine can be placed and is only triggered when mobs walk over it. Both are based on attack damage too, and not ability power. Lightning Strike is a weaker form of Storm Arrow, takes less mana of course and does less damage, but it's still lightning damage. Ball Lightning is a slight variation that flies forward, but you can actually control it with your crosshairs slightly. It moves pretty slowly though. Chaos Cube is kind of like throwing a dice. It bounces around a little bit before blowing up and doing damage, where Toxic Vial kind of is like throwing a potion, and it also bounces around a little bit, but then does a whole lot of poison damage when it blows up. The specialization of Implode, called Life Tap, is also brand new. This one drains a lot of your health, but does more damage based on the amount of health that's drained from you. Using this one can leave you in a bad position if you don't actually take out all the mobs surrounding you. And then lastly, we have a specialization of Mana Shield called Mana Barrier, and this one sounds pretty cool. It actually builds a room around you out of impervious blocks that lasts for a full 10 seconds at the minimum level, and nothing can get in or out of this little room. You can use it to trap mobs in there and get away, or you can use it to keep the mobs away while you yourself regain some mana, do some healing, and things like that. It's a pretty interesting way to do it, and I think it might pair fairly well with dropping a totem inside the room as well. And then lastly, we've got 2 lightning-based talents, which are brand new and offer some newer synergies with some of the new lightning-based attacks. Lightning Finesse gives you a chance to stun mobs. They're always helpful. This one has a lot of points, has a lot of levels, ultimately ending in 40% chance, where Lightning Mastery increases the minimum damage that you do with lightning abilities. I think ultimately you can put the same number of points into either one, and obviously they are mutually exclusive. So do you want to stun something, or do you want to do more damage? Because something else that has changed with all of the lightning-based abilities, like Lightning Strike and even Storm Arrow, is that the ability power range is pretty large, honestly. Basically, the lightning is going to do a variable damage based on this random amount that is chosen when the ability is cast. Storm Arrow, I think, has been nerfed quite a bit because this ability power range is quite large, where the ability power range of Lightning Strike is much smaller, although it's overall a lot smaller of an amount. Ball Lightning also suffers from the high range variability, as does Archon and Smite, which is an even bigger range. Whoa. So going with Lightning Mastery and increasing your minimum damage is going to make your damage more consistent and do more damage across the board. Wow, this update video is quite long already, and we've just covered the main points, the big items in this update. There's also a slew of smaller ones as well. For instance, now when you have your Spirit Extractor, if you don't have enough gold, you can go into debt. This previously was a pretty big problem. If you happened to not have enough gold left over and was not able to get your spirit back, you were essentially starting over, pretty deep into the game sometimes, and trying to go into a vault with subpar gear to try to just get enough gold to get your spirit back is not a very good feeling at all. So now you can just go into debt and get your gold back. But debt has its problems. Namely, you just can't get any more experience until your debt is paid off. Even in co-op vaults, even if it's just 1 gold and you need that 1 gold from the vault, you're not going to get any experience from it. Now, this honestly isn't such a bad thing. If you've overleveled and you're just outpowered by the vault, well, this will give you an opportunity to catch up without actually making the problem worse by gaining experience and making the vaults even harder. So it makes a lot of sense. Next up, we have another brand new block, another new station, if you will. This one is called the Spectator Terminal. And just kind of look at it as I turn around here. The way it parallaxes around looks a bit strange, honestly. But as the name implies, this one lets you go into a vault as a spectator. You can pick somebody else on your server in order to spectate. And well, I don't have any friends here, so I can't really show you that. But the ability to spectate somebody in the vault, I think, sounds like a really great thing. When you're in the vault, it's really hard to focus on what anybody else is doing, right? Because you're just focused on trying to stay alive. But without all those pressures and being able to spectate somebody else, you could start to learn something from them or maybe even critique them as well. Either way, it's a new feature that I think is really nice. Additionally, there are 2 new trinkets as well, both of which are blue. We've got the Aether's Spark, which operates kind of like a jetpack, giving you an extended jump ability for a short time. By pressing and holding, you can go up for a little bit. Like I said, kind of like a jetpack, but it doesn't go for very long, and you're still susceptible to fall damage, obviously. Right, so if I'm running along and then give a big blast, I can jump farther than I could before. It's not quite a double or triple jump type distance, and it definitely takes some learning curve to get used to, but it could be very useful. And the other one is the magic dice. Everybody loves the good shiny math rocks, don't we? But like all good shiny math rocks, this one is very, very random. It says all damage is multiplied by either 1% to 300%. But the average should be about 150% damage multiplier. So, while you can't count on any big hits at any specific time, over the long run, this thing can really help out quite a bit. 150% damage increase? Oh yeah, that sounds nice. But if it's anything like my dice, when you need it, it's going to roll a 1 and it's going to kill you. That's just how it goes. And then, as always, there's tons of tweaks. There's damage tweaks on the skills, there's new models for the vault gear, some new uniques, things like that. And the quest book has been updated quite a bit, filling in a lot of things that weren't there and generally cleaning it up, bringing it up to date with all the current features. Oh, and lastly, Vault Hunters finally has its own wiki page. It's really hard to believe that Vault Hunters, as big a pack as it is, has never had a wiki page of its own before. And this is still obviously in the works. This is not specifically tied to the release, but it just happens to also coincide with the release of Update 19. I believe this was actually done and coordinated by people in the Patreon community, to which I say, thanks, it's been sorely needed. And so there we have it, Update 19 in a nutshell, because this thing is so big, there's no way I can go over it in full detail, but I feel like I say that with every single update. This one also has been kind of difficult to do because I've been fighting this illness. I'm sure you've heard it in my voice. And it's taken multiple days. So just like last time, I ask that if you did enjoy this, if you did find it useful, please consider giving the video a like. And heck, maybe even subscribe to the channel. I don't do that much Vault Hunter stuff anymore, but this is getting more and more interesting, and I'm really, really considering starting another Vault Hunter series. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Because honestly, I do feel a little out of touch with what's been going on with these latest updates, because I haven't been able to experience them firsthand. Well, anyway, that's it for now. We'll catch you with the next update roundup, and remember, until then, be excellent to each other. I'm out.